welcome back to Not Again, a parenting podcast that is not really all that much about parenting. I am one of your hosts, Rebecca.
I'm your other host, Alan.
And we are just going to jump right into it because I always say that I'm going to tell people to go back to episode 1 if they want to know what the show's about, and then I introduce what the show's about anyway.
Yeah, anyway.
We are doing Corey Carson, episode 4, Firehouse. And if you would like to know what this show is really about, because it's very only like tangentially related to parenting, you should listen to episode 1, Corey Carson, season 1, episode 1. So, we're gonna jump into, I say that a lot, jumping into, episode 4, Firehouse.
You jump into a lot of things.
This is going to be a special episode. I feel like I say every episode is a special episode. Last episode was Arya was born.
It's very Clone High.
Yeah.
Next week on a very special episode.
Yeah, Clone High is a good show. Too bad it only got 1 season. But we're not here to talk about Clone High. We're talking about Corey Carson. So, Firehouse is a special episode-ish because I feel like this is where Corey really makes his heel turn.
Yes.
A heel turn is a term that I thought meant, can I just pull back the curtain a little bit?
Yeah.
Like, we did just, like, pause to have a long discussion about what a heel turn is.
Did.
And so there
and
might be...
neither of us do.
I'm trying really, really hard to have smooth edits in this show. But, like, we paused and then, like, I needed to... We just had this long discussion and then I Googled it. So I assume that this is going to be a somewhat sloppy edit, and I apologize. But yeah, so I thought a heel turn was when somebody turned into a heel.
No.
Or rather turned on their heel and became the opposite of what they were. So if they were good, they became bad. If they were bad, they became good. Well, I didn't realize it went one direction.
No, it apparently, I was bad at this. I didn't know.
Yeah. Neither of us are wrestling fans.
No, we're not. We're bad at it. It's when you are supposedly, quote, the bad guy, and then you twist towards being good.
Right. Or maybe become worse. You know what? Every episode I find some reason for people to tweet at us. Wrestling fans, tweet at Not Again Pod and tell us what a heel turn is.
Like, you will actually inform us. Yeah. Don't be mean, because, like, we actually need the information.
You know what they say about on the internet, if you want information, don't ask, just get it wrong? We should have just gotten it wrong.
Get it wrong, and they will tell you.
I should have just gotten it wrong. And then, people would have tweeted at us without the invitation. But yeah, so it's either a heel turn or perhaps a face turn.
Okay.
But I don't know. There's a heel in the head or something. Heel in the face. You know what? People are gonna tweet at us.
Babyface is the hero because he looks like a champion.
Sure. So basically, that was our wrestling podcast. Within.
This is the worst wrestling podcast ever.
Yep.
Okay. Corey is worse at this.
Yeah. So Corey was decent and is turning into a little brat. Whatever wrestling or other sports related term you want to apply to that, you go right ahead. You are free. You have that ability. You are strong and independent. But so this is why it's a special episode. We just spent like 20 minutes talking about that. So let's move right along. So Corey and his friends are at the firehouse to get a tour from Freddie Firetruck's mom, who is a firefighter. Well, no, she's not. She's a fire truck. But, to talk about, her career, you would have to probably go back to last episode with Gary Garbage to understand. She's a fire truck and probably...
Yes, she's ethnically a fire truck.
Yeah.
Which is problematic.
Yeah, it's problematic in many ways, and she didn't have a choice, and she was going to be a fire truck even if she wanted to be a ballerina. Her name is Carolyn, and Corey is excited to see some, quote, action, and says to Freddie, direct quote, "You probably get to see cool action happen here all the time." And Carolyn corrects him and says that the action doesn't really happen at the firehouse itself, which is...
True.
Yeah, I mean...
Fires don't happen at the firehouse, usually.
Except for, spoiler alert,
in this episode.
But yes, this is her, so I wrote, this is her first opportunity to tell him not to treat emergencies like they're cool or something to look forward to, and she does not.
That's why Corey's kind of not great, because he's saying, like...
Yeah,
I can't wait to see a fire where people are in danger.
Yeah, and I feel like, and that's not necessarily his fault, because, kids are kind of taught like fire trucks are cool and like emergency vehicles and look at the lights and the sirens, and they don't really associate it with like someone on the other end of this 911 call is dying.
Is having a bad time.
Or at least having a bad day.
Yeah.
And so this was the adult in the room's opportunity to say, Corey, you know, like we don't ever want like a good day for a firefighter is when
you eat lunch.
Yeah, you eat lunch is when you get no calls, right?
Yeah.
And she doesn't. She just says, "Oh, well, it doesn't happen here," which is like, okay, but that's okay. You know, that's like not part of it. So she had an opportunity to make him less of a little jerk, and she missed it. So the tour begins, and they have, instead of a fire pole, they have a spiral fire slide, because, you know, this may shock you, but cars can't go down poles.
Yeah.
So they want to go down the slide because a bunch of little kids see a slide. They want to go down the slide.
Yeah.
But she says, no, that's for emergencies. And they're going to take the elevator. Now, this may just be because I was the most boring child in the world. Mm-hmm. But I loved elevators when I was a kid.
No, I kind of did too, because like I live on flat land and we don't have too much elevation. So
yeah.
elevators, they're not that common.
Yeah,
they're in like hospitals and like retirement homes. Like it's not very common.
Yeah.
Around here that you find an elevator.
My brother and I fought over who got to press the button.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I think as a kid, you're starved for anything that's like a ride. So I also liked escalators.
Yeah.
And the real piece de resistance was an elevator with open glass. So you could see.
Oh, nice.
As you know, that was the big one. But the elevator is seen as boring. Question, could she have just let the kids go down the fire slide?
Probably.
She's like, it's for emergencies, but...
Well, in the last episode, we just let a kid go off on an adventure.
With a garbage truck, yeah. I feel like she could have just been like, this is for emergencies, it's not for fun, but I understand that you're children. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I understand the inverse, where you're just like, no, it's not for 5-year-olds. Like, get off of it.
Yeah.
But...
I could take an argument either way.
If it was if as depicted, it's just a slide, and they do go down it. Spoiler.
Yeah.
Later, you can set up a slide and not go down it. So.
Right. Well, I'm glad that I also I was still a boring kid, but I'm glad that liking elevators wasn't one of the reasons. But yeah, so they take the elevator to the Hall of Fire. Which turns out to be pictures of fires that Carolyn has fought, rather than whatever Corey was imagining, which was
fire,
a hallway that was on fire. I guess. He said, you know, he was like, "Oh, that sounds exciting," and then Corey expresses extreme boredom at this, and I should mention, I suppose, for the record, that they are on this tour with Carolyn's son Freddie, Corey, Kimmy and Timmy, who are the O'Toole's children. They're the construction equipment, and Hallie Helicopter. Okay, so they meet Phil the accountant, who we referenced last episode.
We mentioned because we wanted to know what jobs were available for car-shaped cars,
and it turns out a lot of them. So if you're a car-shaped car, you have privileges that other vehicles do not have, because you could be an accountant, you can be whatever Corey's neighbors are, dance enthusiasts.
Dance enthusiasts.
That's a job, right? You know, and if you're a fire truck, you can be a fire truck, right? So poor Carolyn. At least she does a good job. So they meet Phil the accountant, who also wears glasses like Dr. Wiperglass. He's cooking some bacon, a pile of bacon, a literal pile of bacon on a hot plate, all to set up a stupid joke later. Stay tuned. And he calls it brain food so he can do important math. And I did get a laugh out of this the first time or two, where he like turns from the bacon to a piece of paper on his desk and it says 2 + 2 on it. And he goes, I'm going to need more bacon, right?
Yeah. Brain food.
Yeah. I mean, Phil's cute as a character, I suppose. Yeah. He's definitely into Carolyn. Like, I ship them.
Oh,
like, yeah. There's
hardcore.
Yeah. And also this is apropos of nothing, but he has an inspirational poster on his wall of a mountain that just says bravery at the bottom, and like it's a picture of a mountain that says bravery.
I didn't see that, and I love it.
Yeah.
Like, be brave. Add those numbers.
Be brave like this mountain, right? Like, and so in a foreshadowing way, Carolyn notes that the hot plate and bacon look a little dangerous. She says, that looks a little dangerous, so be careful. And Corey's response is it's so stanky that I actually recorded it, not well, but the problem is it sounds like it's bad quality. And at first I was like, oh, what's with all the static? And then I realized it is the sound of sizzling bacon in the background.
Okay.
So I'll probably drop it in. But Corey says,
"Doesn't look that dangerous to me."
It doesn't look that dangerous to me.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. What you mean by stanky?
Yeah,
because he's mean about it. He's just like, that boiling oil on a pan couldn't possibly be dangerous. Yes, it is.
It's not dangerous enough for him. That's the thing. It's he wants the danger. And again, this is an opportunity, if Carolyn heard him, to say,
to be
stop that kid.
Yeah.
Why are you seeking danger?
Be careful.
Yeah. But she doesn't. So I just like that line. I just want to chuck Corey out a window every time. So he's actively looking and hoping for danger. They go to do exercises, and this is fun. The exercise is called tire spins, which I assume is the equivalent of leg lifts or whatever,
sure.
right? But the thing is that Hallie the helicopter is just not in that scene, because she doesn't have tires, right?
No.
And they don't explain it or anything. And I just imagine if you turn the camera slightly to the right, you'd see Hallie sitting forlornly in the corner, I don't have tires. I
didn't mean to laugh. Poor Hallie.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of funny. Anyway, that was a dorky laugh. But yeah, I mean, she could have done what do you call it? It's not a propeller. You always say it's helicopters don't have propellers. They have rotors or whatever. But she could have done.
I don't even know if that's right.
Yeah, but she could have done helicopter spins.
A propeller is supposed to be in front of you. Rotor. Yeah.
Another good band name. And also possible. I know I don't usually like to call this out, but another possible episode title here is Helicopter Racism, is what I wrote in my notes.
That's a good band name.
It's a good band name, at least. I don't know if I will make it the episode title, but we'll see. So I wrote, I assume she was sent off to sit by the wall and watch. Helicopter Racism? Question mark. Except that it's not a race, right? I don't know. It's all very convoluted.
No, how would we know? Because they don't help us in any way.
They don't attempt to clarify anything, really. Nor will they ever, because, anthropomorphized vehicles are just a thing now, and they don't have to. So they continue the tour to see the closet that contains the office supplies. On their way to that closet, we never get to see it. Big bummer for us, right? Corey notices a room full of emergency equipment, including the fire hose. He immediately breaks off from the tour and goes to play in this room. Carolyn does not notice that he does this, despite the fact that she is only supervising 5 kids. So it's not exactly hard to notice when one is missing. We're not going to do the very special alert yet, because that's going to come when her own child is involved. So Corey grabs the fire hose and begins playing with it. And by grabs, I mean he bumps into it and it lands on his head and suctions onto his head. Or roof again. I think we established roof last time, but yeah. So Freddie finds him, and now we have a bad parenting alert. Because Carolyn is now down from 5 kids to 3, and one of the missing kids is even her own son. And it will take a fire alarm going off for her to look up and realize that they're missing. So she really should have been better at this. And in fact, her negligence allows Corey to put everybody's lives in danger. So Freddie asks what Corey is doing, and Corey says, "I'm rescuing you, Freddie." And Freddie says, "Rescuing me?" And Corey exclaims, "From a boring tour." And just straight up insulting Freddie's mom to his face.
Oh yeah, to her son's face.
Yes, if I were Freddie, I'd be like, Corey, that's my mom. What are you...
And she's doing great, honestly.
She's very enthusiastic.
She's doing fine.
She's very dedicated to the one role that life has given her. So...
Unfortunately.
But instead, Corey squirts Freddie in the face. That's hard to say. With fire hose water. Not killing him somehow. But they just, he just chases him around the room, shooting water at him. And in doing so, ties the hose into a bunch of knots, right?
More knots than is reasonable.
Yeah, but, it's a kid's show. And Freddie is laughing, but he also suggests that they might need to stop because he's more of a rules-oriented kid.
Yeah.
Again, I was probably a Freddy.
There's more allusions to that later.
Yeah, that'll be episode 7 when we really see it. But Corey only stops when he runs out of hose. The camera pulls back to like show that the whole room is full of the hose and it's all like completely knotted up or whatever. And then the fire alarm goes off and Corey hastily rewinds the hose. There's a lever he presses to wind it up. I'm doing the universal hand motion for wind it up, which is the index finger in a circle. That's very important for our listeners to know. Carolyn finally realizes half her tour group is gone, possibly only because of the fire alarm, right? I mean, like, they were conceivably sitting in a room. Did she think they went to the bathroom? Like,
maybe. I don't know.
It seems weird. Yeah, what I was saying is they're sitting in this stationary room or whatever, and 2 of them are just gone. Like, I doubt that she's like not looking at the children at all.
Turned around, counted 4 instead of 6. Or it's not hard.
Or 3 instead of 5. So she finds them, and it's like, what are you doing in here? And she grabs the fire hose off the wall again, just kind of through trickery because she can't grab anything. And she does not know it's full of knots. This is important. So they evacuate using the fire slide. Corey's the last one to go down it and tries to tell Carolyn that he messed up the fire hose. But she says there's no time to talk and pushes him down the slide. And I think there's supposed to be something ironic here about how he wanted to go down once upon a time, but now that he finally gets to go down, it's a terrifying experience and blah, 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 blah.
It wasn't really sold well.
Yeah. And outside, she does a head count, which she should have done earlier.
15 minutes ago.
And all the children are there, but Phil is stuck on the second floor. Phil, the accountant. Remember him?
Yeah.
And he says...
He's my favorite.
He says, hey, from the second floor window. And she has to point out that there's a fire to him. And he's like, really? And then he turns around and notices that he is the cause of the fire. His bacon, or maybe just the hot plate, is on fire. And she sets up a trampoline and he jumps out the window with the plate of bacon on his head. Roof head. And he rebounds quite high, so Carolyn sticks out her ladder and catches him and the plate and the bacon, giving Phil the chance to finally pay off that joke we've been waiting for. And he says, thanks for saving my bacon. Yeah, applause.
I can't, because it's going to pick up too hard, but like I wanted to applaud.
Yeah, just know that we were applauding there. Softly. We're getting to one of my favorite lines of the episode. So she saves his bacon and then gets her hose out and says, direct quote, time to make it rain in a, I don't know a PG word for this, in a cool way. Like cool mom, drop your shades down way.
Okay.
You can't say bad butt or bad tush way, but I kind of want to. But making it rain is, an expression that usually is associated with a certain type of
adult club
activity, money being offered,
exchanged
not for goods but for services of an adult nature.
I mean, like, I'm gonna say it, sad people.
Okay, well, you've just alienated at least one of our audience members. I'm sure.
Well, okay, like sad people, like giving money to people who need it. It's not a great place.
I've never been to one, but yeah.
Me either.
Anyway, this is an adult reference that I think is too adult for a kid show. Or they didn't realize that that's what the reference was. You know, like I mean, like writers for a Netflix show, they've got to visit one of these adult establishments at least once, right? But yes. Yeah, so that's a weird thing for her to say. But she, tries to spray water on the fire, and the hose doesn't work because it's all in knots. And she's like, what happened to my fire hose, right?
Didn't notice.
Yeah, she's not a very observant fire truck. I guess they didn't teach her observancy in fire truck school.
If she went, because that's her body.
If she went, that's, oh my God, like that just hit me. Is she, like, does she innately and instinctively fight fires? Is it part of her?
Probably not.
Was Gary Garbage born able to, like, collect garbage?
Learned, he smelled it. Never mind. We're going on.
Yeah. So maybe there was fire truck school. Maybe there was no fire truck school, just fire truck instincts. But the hose doesn't work, and she is like, "Oh no, I will deal with this later. How do I get the fire out?" And then they have to call back the tire spins, right? Because Corey, of course, was bored by those too, or something like that, and he needs to learn that he was wrong to be bored by
nothing boring. Is ever truly boring.
Nothing boring is.
We'll talk about this in what we learned,
I guess. But yeah, like if it's boring, it can't possibly be useful. Is what Corey decides. So she does a tire spin real fast, and then puts her tire down in the sand in the parking lot, and uses that to kind of like kick sand up through the window onto the hot plate. Oh, yeah, so I guess it is just the hot plate that's on fire because Phil had his bacon with him. There we go. That makes sense. Because bacon doesn't really light on fire. I don't know. We'll have to do that experiment where we light bacon on fire.
With strong effort, anything can be lit on fire.
Take it from the chemist. He knows.
I do know.
Okay. He's lit things on fire. So she does put out the fire with the dirt. And the children are all very impressed. She checks back in on them, and they're like, "Whoa, you do that job good, lady." And Corey apologizes because I guess he doesn't explain himself. He just apologizes. So I guess we're gonna say that like she puts 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
Because the episode had to be done, and they didn't want to.
We're hoping he learned his lesson.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. So she says, direct quote, "Hey, listen, I know you wanted to have fun today. But a firefighter's job is about safety and preparedness. This could have been a very serious situation."
Very true.
True, but almost like not true enough. Like this could have been very serious. I don't know. I feel like
it was serious.
It was kind of an understated reaction.
Yeah.
Like he literally put lives in danger. The fire was in the room with Phil.
Well, this is what we learned today. That's later. But like he wanted this to happen.
Yeah, he'd been begging for danger all day.
He didn't learn. Never mind. We'll get
to it for sure. But so I feel like, so as a parent, I definitely hate the idea of correcting other people's children. You know what I mean? When I see them doing something wrong, I don't want to like take action because that's not. First of all, that's not my job, and second of all, I know that I would probably feel pretty rankled if I saw another parent trying to like correct or discipline my child.
Especially with our child who doesn't quite understand the situation. He just goes, "Someone's yelling. That's bad."
Yeah, and then, he gets overwhelmed with that and stuff like that. So I understand not wanting to. Corey's not her kid, but this is like as a fire truck, she is there to like teach them about fire safety, and so I don't want her to like scare the kid or yell at him or anything, but just like the firefighter's job is about safety, but it's also like, think about this the next time you are hoping for danger. This is what's on the other end of it. Like, I hope you understand now that when you say you want danger and action, this is what it was.
Yeah.
That could have been okay for her to tell him.
Yeah.
I feel like. I'm not going to put this as a bad parenting alert because it's not like she addressed it. I feel like it wasn't strong enough.
Yeah, technically it was Phil who started the fire and she put it out. But like he was hoping for like action and like they needed to nip that.
That happens, and also she's not parenting him, she's tour guiding him. But it was a very serious situation, but they just kind of brushed past it. So Corey, the show wants us to believe, has learned his lesson and requests to do more tire spins as a kind of symbol of him having learned that lesson. He asks to do more, and that sums up that he has learned his lesson and now thinks all the things he thought was boring and useless before are not boring and useless now. And so they go to do more tire spins. Again, I assume leaving out Hallie, who could just be spinning her little knot propeller, But that's the end of the episode, is all of them happily doing tire spins, and that's that. So I guess now we've already touched on this a bit, but we can move on to what did we learn? Our segment where we talk about what the episode wanted us to learn and what we actually learned, because a lot of kids' TV shows pretend that they're educational. Yeah. Some of them actually are, I think. I don't know. So what did the episode want us to learn, and was it successful? did they want us to learn, or and by us I mean kids, did they want kids to learn not to like seek out danger?
The problem is, like, they did want kids to learn that, but Corey Carson did seek out danger, got the excitement, and it resolved nicely. So he sought out danger and got it.
Yeah, and
you know
succeeded.
And so that's awful.
Yeah, and because it's a kid, like a preschool kids show, Phil couldn't be in any real danger, and so like, you know what I mean, like he was very blasé about the whole thing, and so like I don't even know if they saw that it was a dangerous, you know what I mean? Like, not that I want Phil to be like coughing up smoke and like worried for his life, but like,
and like if the show was to be believed, Phil was in real danger. There was a real fire. Yeah. You know, his situation went wrong.
Yeah.
It needed a firefighter. It wasn't just like a, turn it off situation.
But the problem is that it was treated kind of like a joke, you know?
Yeah, well, that's what...
Because his bacon was on fire,
saying. Like, either it is serious, which they treated it as, or it isn't, but they didn't do. So... it was a serious situation. It needed a firefighter. It needed dealing with.
I guess, yeah, as far as like teaching that lesson, I'm standing by. I wanted, I mean, part of this was just because I wanted to smack Corey a little bit.
Yeah.
I would never smack an actual child, but wanting to smack a cartoon car child.
Right in the windshield wiper.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I wanted Carolyn the fire truck to come down harder. Yeah. Not to terrify this child into peeing himself, because that's already going to happen next episode. But like, stay tuned. I'm winking a lot, folks. I wanted her to make it explicitly clear, like, you have been taught to think that action and danger is cool, and that fire trucks have an awesome job, which they do, right? Firefighters do. I mean, like, they're awesome people at the very least. But remember that on the other end of any 911 call or fire alarm is actual danger with actual lives.
Bad times.
And I think that's an important lesson for kids, honestly, and adults. Like, if you look at like it's a whole genre of movie is police officers defying every law and rule, and even like police officering after turning in their guns and badges and then saving the day. And it kind of like glorifies this idea. But as we are learning in this country in this moment at time of recording, we don't really want police officers to take the law into their own hands or, you know, or go, the rule books are there for a reason, basically. Yes. And I mean, like, but look where we get that from, like Die Hard, you know, and movies. Die Hard is the quintessential one, which is why I bring it up. But like movies like that, even Rush Hour, and like, it's like, hey, look what happens when these cops go off the book, which is why Hot Fuzz exists. Yeah. As a that's a rated R movie, so we can't recommend it to our younger viewers. But if you haven't seen Hot Fuzz, it's a wonderful satire,
very good, of
the cop movie genre, and it points out a lot of the flaws there, which is just that the rules are there for a reason.
Yes, they are,
and they save lives supposedly. So, and I mean, like, I keep getting political on this podcast, and I shouldn't, but it's just true. It's like we kind of, you know, like Paw Patrol, you know, is a show where it's like, look at it, it just glorifies, like, look at what these different rescue heroes do. I haven't actually seen it, so maybe I'm wrong, sorry, but you know, shows like that, they kind of go like, it's cool to see a fire truck, or it's cool to see a firefighter in action. And, you know, it's not for the people who, I think, you know,
it's not cool to see a firefighter in action if you live there.
Yeah, if you are in the building that's on fire. I think that actually probably the only show that addressed that well, and maybe we'll get to it one day, is Little Bus Tayo. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Because that's the one where the kid prank calls
the
fire station.
It's a Boy Who Cried Wolf situation. It's honestly probably one of the only good episodes of that show.
Yeah, so what happens is...
because there's a real lesson.
And you know what? The reason that... So it's a Boy Who Cried Wolf situation, but it's actually a little girl, and she's doing it because her little brother likes fire trucks, and they used to live by a fire station, and then they moved, and she wanted him to feel comfortable, so she wanted him to see more fire trucks. But the thing is that just shows both sides of it. The little boy liked seeing fire trucks because he didn't understand. Meanwhile, she's pranking, not on purpose, but she's prank calling the fire station, making false claims about fires in order to get fire trucks to drive by. And I think they explained to her, like, that is extremely dangerous. Like, every time you make this call, we are not able to go to another call.
Very important jobs to do.
Yeah, like,
and it's not fun.
Yeah.
No, none of it's fun.
I mean, yeah, okay. Like, this is Corey Carson, but let's just say that episode ends with her mother and little brother being trapped in a house fire.
We have to cut this out.
Yeah, no, we won't cut it out, but I'm just going to leave it there. And I mean, it's a kid's show, so everything turns out fine, but it sure gets dark.
It gets really gross.
Yeah.
Where like, her mother and brother are about to die in a house fire.
Yeah.
And
to teach her a lesson.
To teach her a lesson, and they say, we would never, even if they were prank calls, we would never... ignore a call.
Yeah, they still show up to save everyone.
Yeah.
But she thinks for a moment that they won't show up, and that's the, that's the best moment in kids' TV ever. Okay, so we're going to be done talking about Corey Carson, episode 4. We're also going to be done talking about Little Bus Tayo, which is associated... I think that one came first, and then Titty Po was the spinoff, and not the other way around. And I think that we've all learned a valuable lesson today, which is you shouldn't glorify... fires
or danger,
especially in front of impressionable little kids. And, bacon will help you do simple arithmetic.
Yes, eat bacon.
And I want that bravery poster.
I do too.
So thank you everyone for listening. This has been another fun episode of Not Again. Well, I mean, I hope it was fun. It was fun for us. As always, you can tweet at us about wrestling. If you want to, or tweet at us for any other reason.
We don't know what it is.
Yeah, we don't watch it. No judges on people who do. We just have not been associated with it.
Don't know what it is.
But yeah, you can tweet at us at Not Again Pod. You can find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. As always, I will ask you to use the power of word of mouth. If you know somebody who likes this podcast, let them know about it. And thank you to my husband for being my co-host and for making the music for this podcast. And one last thank you to our listeners for helping us stay sane for another week. We will catch you next time. I've been Rebecca.
I'm Alan.
And I will remember to sign off better next time. Bye.